Thanks a lot to everyone for coming out for the post-position draw for the 85th running of the prestigious $750,000 Whitney Invitational Handicap. I'm Dan Silver, Director of Communications, and just going to kick things off here. Obviously a great list of horses that have won this race, just to name a few. Commentator, of course, won it twice. Invasor, Medaglia d'Oro, Easy Goer, Personal Ensign, Alidar, Kelso, Carryback, Tom Fool, War Admiral, Discovery. Just one of the most prestigious races that we have here at Saratoga. And to conduct the official post-position draw is NYRA television analyst Andy Sterling.
I want to thank everybody once again for coming. Of course, we've got Andrew Burns, our stakes coordinator, DJ Campo, our racing secretary, and we're going to go ahead and draw the 85th running of the Whitney Handicap. Number 1, Rule, owned by Windstar Farm, trained by Todd Fletcher, ridden by Joe Bravo, 5-1. Number 3, Caixa Electronica, owned by Poli Stables, trained by Todd Fletcher, ridden by Javier Castellano, 15-1. That's number 3. The 2 is Hunter's Bay, owned by Stronach Stables, trained by Reed Baker, ridden by Emma Jane Wilson, 20-1. Number 5 is Trick Meister, IAH, trained by Rick Dutrow, ridden by Ramon Dominguez, 15-1. It's number 5, Trick Meister. Number 8, Hymn Book, owned by Stuart Janney, trained by Shug McGahee, ridden by John Velasquez, 4-1. It's number 8, Hymn Book. Number 7, last year's Whitney runner-up, Flat Out, owned by Preston Stables, Bill Mott, ridden by Rosie Napravnik, 4-1. Number 7, Flat Out. Number 4 is Endorsement, Casna Racing, trained by Owen Hardy, ridden by Joel Rosario, 20-1. That's number 4, Endorsement. Number 6, Ron the Greek, Browse Stable, trained by Billy Mott, ridden by Jose Lescano, the 3-1 morning line favorite. That's number 6, Ron the Greek. And the second choice is number 9, Fort Larned. Fort Larned is owned by Janice Whittam, trained by Ian Wilkes, ridden by Brian Hernandez, 7-2. So I'll go through that field one more time. Number 1 is Rule, 5-1. Number 2, Hunter's Bay, 20-1. Number 3, Caixa Electronica, 15-1. Number 4, Endorsement, 20-1. Number 5, Trickmeister, 15-1. Number 6, Ron the Greek, the 3-1 favorite. Number 7, Flat Out, 4-1. Number 8, Hymn Book, 4-1. And number 9, Fort Larned. Obviously, we want to thank everybody for participating, coming out. We're going to bring up a few of the trainers of these horses to ask a couple of questions, and we appreciate very much their support coming out. And we'll bring up the man who has the first and third choice in this race, I believe, or co-third choice, trainer Billy Mott. Bill, wherever you are, you haven't left on us, have you? I want to thank Bill for coming, and I'm going to stand up here so I can be taller than him. I've never been taller than anybody. You've never won the Whitney, which is sort of amazing considering all the success you've had. When you come upon a race and you've never won it, is it something you even think about, or is it something you want to add that to your laurels?
Well, I'm really not sure how many times I've even run in it. I haven't kept track, but if I've ever run in it at all, I can't remember. But I know it's a great race, and it'd be a great race to win. Obviously, it's named appropriately for a race to run in Saratoga.
Either draws, you've got the post 6 and 7. Is this how much do you think it affects you, and is it either horse?
I don't feel like it's a disadvantage at all. I don't see any reason for any excuses coming from those posts that we drew.
Now you've had, starting with Ron the Greek, who right now has to be in the discussion for frankly for Horse of the Year, considering his great success. I heard you suggested you waved a magic wand over him, but I mean, is he just a horse you feel he's just come to hand for you as a 5-year-old?
I think just a real late developing horse. I think he's a huge gorgeous horse actually, but a horse that you could tell is probably not going to get good till later in his career. And I think it's just a timing issue, and as most things are in this business, I think he started to come around at the right time, and he just landed in our hands at the right time.
What about Flat Out? Do you think he got enough out of his one race at Monmouth that he can come back to that tremendous effort he put in last year when he was second, which could possibly win this race?
Really, I thought it was a perfect race for him. I think he probably didn't get to run full out the whole way. He was kind of stuffed early in the race, and he got out late with the furlong to run, and he was closing on the winner. But I think it was a useful race. I think it was the type of race that you'd like going into a major race like the Whitney. I think it was enough, but it wasn't too much. I think sometimes we panic a little bit if a horse runs clear of the field and you worry about him maybe running a little too fast. But I think this was probably just right.
Well, that's it, Bill. Thanks a lot for coming
Okay.
up. We really appreciate your coming by,
you.
and obviously wish you and your connections the best of luck.
Thank you.
Trainer Billy Mott. The next trainer we're going to bring up actually has won this Whitney and won it twice. Has not won it, though, since 1988 and 89. And Shug McGay is obviously one of the top trainers in the game, and won this race with Personal Ensign, the filly, one of the all-time greats, as well as Easy Goer, another all-time great. And Shug is trying to come back and win it after not winning it since then in over 20 years. And when you look back on that, does it seem like it was over 20 years ago, those great horses?
Well, it's starting to get to be a long time, so I wish it hadn't been that long. Sometimes it's a little embarrassing when I hear that, but it has been. We're going to give it a try again on Saturday if everything being equal.
Now, Himbook, who obviously, I think, is there any of your thoughts, and we'll talk about the post position with Himbook, who drew on the outside. Are you happier you're outside, inside, or it doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter with him. I mean, if he gets away good, he'll get a position going around that turn. With Johnny riding him, you're going to get, you're going to get the best. And pace is fast, he'll be laying back, and if the pace is slow, he'll be laying up fairly close. So the post position doesn't bother me at all.
Now, in his last start, where he ran extremely well in our Suburban, a very tough field at Belmont Park, I couldn't tell. What do you think happened to him in the start? He had a very awkward break.
Well, I'm going to say he stumbled, but and I think that's what he did. I think he just broke hard, and his right front went out from under him, and when he did, he had to kind of gather him up, and he sort of lost all position. And I was pretty happy with the finish, the way that he did finish, and came on against that group of horses. The winner's a very nice horse, Mucho Macho Man, and he had a really good trip and been laying up there, and it's just hard when you give up that much ground to catch up on that type of horse, and we just weren't able to. But I did think he ran a very good race that day, and he's come out of it good, and hopefully we're set up for a good one on Saturday.
He's never run over the surface, raced over the Saratoga surface. Do you have any concerns about that whatsoever?
No, I don't think so. I think the track will probably be, tight on Saturday, and I think the one thing I would be concerned with if it got really, really loose, but it looks like the weather's going to be okay, and if we were to get rain, that even helps us even more. He's really moves up on an off track, but on a track with some water in it. But I'm not going to be concerned about that. I think the track will be fine.
Well, we really, really appreciate you coming here, Shug, and obviously wish you the best of luck in the race. And you should never be embarrassed about any gaps in your game, because you're clearly one of the great trainers in this game. We appreciate your coming.
All right, Andy, thanks.
Trainer Ian Wilkes is here with Fort Larned. Fort Larned is really shown himself to be one of the very best horses in the country, and we're very happy to have Ian here. Ian, of course, worked with trainer Carl Napsker, and they had great success here a few years ago with Street Sense winning both our Jim Dandy and our Travers. And Ian, thanks a lot for coming up here.
Thanks, Andy.
I just want to ask some questions about Fort Larned. Fort Larned has really come into his own, going from 3 to 4. Did he surprise you at all?
Well, can I lie a little?
Yeah, you can lie. It's horse racing. That's all we do is lie.
No, he did. He really stepped it up. The blinkers really helped him, and he's really. I found that he just wants to be to run a little bit.
Yeah, he's come along so well. Now, he ran 3 of his last 4 races, arguably are some of the best races any horse has run this year, and you ran him back 2 weeks after the one just complete non-effort in the Foster, and you were vindicated by winning the Cornhusker. What conclusion you come to that led you to taking a chance and running him back 2 weeks, and obviously you were right?
I went into the Stephen Foster with a pretty horse. I didn't have a racehorse, so he didn't run much that day. So the owner was willing to take a shot, so let's run.
What do you think about drawing the outside post 9 in this race?
That's fine. It gives us a lot of options what to do.
Well, I assume that you see, like most people, Meister going to lead, and we'll talk to Owen Hardy about endorsement. You're probably sitting third. Are you comfortable you can the third behind a relatively rapid pace and still be able to hold off this obviously talented field?
Yeah, he doesn't have to be in front. He can sit behind. He can do whatever you want.
Well, okay. Well, Ian, thanks a lot for coming up. We really appreciate it. Good luck to you and your connections. The next person we're going to bring up is trainer Owen Hardy, who a lot of you may remember won our Travers with Colonel John a few years ago, and one of the most dramatic finishes I think we've ever had in a big race around here. And Owen Hardy's training Endorsement, who, as we mentioned, is one of the possible speed horses. Now, he didn't go to the lead Endorsement in his last race in the Suburban. Are you going to change your tactics this time, be more aggressive?
Definitely. I think his best races are when he's on the lead, or certainly very close to it. He had a lot to overcome in his last race. Mental issues more than anything else, but I think he's changed. I think he's turned the corner, and I think he'll run a very good race here on Saturday.
He drew the post 4, and he's right inside of Meister, the speed. Would you have preferred to be outside of that one, or do you think that maybe he can take off from him and perhaps use that post to his advantage?
I'm certainly going to use that post to my advantage. It's certainly closer to the rail and the closest way around there, and if he breaks sharp, he's going to be on the lead.
Now, I believe he's been stable. I don't know how up to date the work, as I saw. He was at Keeneland. How long has he been at Saratoga?
He's been here for about 2.5 weeks now.
And is he acclimating well?
He's acclimating very well. He's been over in the paddock every day, every afternoon. He'll be over here again today for the 6th race if you want to watch him. And he's really, really adapted and really likes this environment, and I couldn't really be happier. This is the best he's done for me all year.
He's a horse that showed enormous promise. A 3-year-old obviously had injury issues to get over. It took a while getting back. It must be very satisfying to have a horse that had promise, have them, off for so long and come back and continue to run well.
Yeah, very much so. I didn't train him at 3. Shannon Ritter had him, and I really felt he was Winstar's best shot to win the Derby that year. Unfortunately got hurt prior to the race, and I basically just picked up the reins from her, and with the exception of this last race, he really hasn't let me down.
Well, I hope he doesn't let you down this weekend. We really appreciate your coming up here.
Thank you very much.
Good luck, Owen. Thanks. The last person we're bringing up is trainer Reed Baker, who was here last year. I believe he trained the 2nd place finisher in Jim Dandy. And Reed Baker is coming down from Canada with Hunter's Bay for Stronach Stables, and we appreciate Reed coming here and ask him a few questions about Hunter's Bay, a horse who's lately been running exceptionally well up at Woodbine. And obviously the question is, what do you attribute himself? I mean, he's always been a horse with talent, and he's had some fast races in the dirt. Do you think it's synthetic, or do you think he's just a horse who's coming into his own?
I think he's getting better. I think his races in Florida last year or this year, except the last one last year, were good races. But he's finally getting to go as far as he wants to go. All those were sprints waiting to go 2 turns, and we never got to go 2 turns.
Now Stronach Stables won this race, obviously, with Awesome Again, who's gone on. So Hunter's Bay, I guess, in some ways following the footsteps. He trains in the dirt up at Woodbine. Is their training track is a dirt track, and has he been as effective for you up on that surface?
He probably had his best work on the dirt.
Well, that's pretty interesting. And how do you feel about your post time, your post in this race? He drew post 2. Do you think his position matters, and how do you see him being placed in this race?
Well, I'd like a head start, really. The list of trainers you brought up here in front of me, I feel like a guppy in the shark pool here.
The guppies occasionally beat the sharks. It's happened before, and you've certainly had some horses that have done very well in the past.
I would like someone to say they didn't like the post and they're going to scratch. Everybody seems to love it. And, this size of field, these big turns, nobody's going to have any problem with the post.
Well, we appreciate your coming up here and wish you the best of luck in the Whitney.
Thank you
and we
very much.
appreciate everybody that joined us today, both the connections of horses as well as everybody that came out. And we hope everybody has a great Whitney. The 85th running of the Whitney will be Saturday afternoon here in Saratoga. Thanks for coming.